Welcome, everyone. This is Brother Doug. I'm with my sister Shoshana, my brother Dennis, our sister Sadie, our sister Sally. We are the Awakened by Yahuwah and Yahushua Messiah Assembly. We are going to be going into a study called How to Be the Woman in the Wilderness, how to make the 144,000, basically. So,
How to be worthy.
How to be counted worthy. So we're going to go to first, I think a great one to go to would be in numerical order, Revelations chapter 3. Oh, no, actually, let's go to Luke 21. That's right, sis. It's actually better to go to Luke 21 first. So Luke 21, chapter 21, verse... Here, we're going to start, I believe, at verse 17. And here we go. Luke 21, chapter 21, verse 17. And you will be hated by all for my name's sake, or other translations will say here, because of my name. Either way, because of Yahushua's name, for his name's sake, because of his name. So that was Luke 21, chapter 21, verse 17. And let me just make sure there's no background noise going on here. All right, there we go. We're all right. All right, so now we're going to jump down to verse 34 in the same chapter here, and it says, and take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down by gluttony and drunkenness and the worries of this life, the cares of the world, and that day come on you suddenly, for it shall come as a snare on all those dwelling on the face of all the earth. Watch then at all times and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all this about to take place and to stand before the Son of Adam. I think we have a little something going on in the chat here. Let me just see real quick what's going on in the chat. All right. Can someone give me the calling number? Okay, we'll have to. Sister Sadie, I'll give you that once we're done with the study here. I'll give you that info. I just want to make sure we can fit everything here. Let's see here. So now we're going to go from Revelations. We're going to go to Revelations chapter 3 next. We just read Luke.
Off that with Luke 21, verse 19.
Oh, 19. Okay. Must have forgot about that one. All right. Luke 21, verse 19. Possess your lives by your endurance. All right. So that was Luke 21, verse 19. So basically, you have to have endurance. That's one of the qualities. So now we're going to go to Revelations chapter 3, and this is going to get a little bit more in depth and a little bit more specific. Here we go. Revelations chapter 3, verse 10, because you have guarded. Start at verse 8.
We talked about being hated for his name's sake, but what we have to do is not deny his name.
Okay.
Read that.
I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door. No one is able to shut it. That you have little power, yet have guarded my word and have not denied my name. So guarded his word would be guarding the commandments. 1 John 3:4, breaking the law is sin. So anything that would be going against his word would not be guarding his word. So we have to make sure we're guarding his word, guarding the commandments, the law, the Torah, and has not denied Yahushua's name or Yahuwah's name, both. Because the Father's name is in the Son's name, so it's actually they're the same name. Revelations chapter 3, verse 9. So I am giving up of those of the congregation of Satan who say they are Yahudim and are not, but lie. See, I am making them come and worship before your feet and know that I have loved you. So again, because we have done this, and because of verse 8, if we do what it says in verse 8 and verse 9, Yahuwah is making those of the synagogue of Satan, the congregation of Satan, worship at our feet. Verse 10, because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you from the hour of trial which shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. So, because you have guarded my word of endurance, and actually it should be temptation here. The correct word should have been temptation from the Greek. So actually it should say, because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you from the hour of temptation which shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. So because we are counted worthy, those that will be counted worthy would be guarded from the hour of temptation, guarded from that hour that basically he allows Satan and the anti-Messiah to deceive the inhabitants of the earth. So,
and you can see the whole scenario in Revelation 12, starting with verse 13.
yeah, let's go there next, right away. All right, so Revelation 12, verse 13 says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male, and the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly into the desert to her place, so that she might be nourished there a time, times, and half a time from face of the serpent. And the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a river after the woman, and so that he might cause her to be carried off by the river. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and drank up the river which the dragon had cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman and went off to make war with the rest of her seed who keep the commandments of Yahuwah and have the testimony or witness of Yahusha. So basically, in verse 17, you have here the dragon realizes he can't get the woman in the wilderness or in the desert, interestingly enough. The Complete Apostles Bible says that's kind of interesting. So he can't get to the 144,000, so he has to go to the remnant of her seed, which would be those that are in the body of Messiah that would be going through the Great Tribulation that have not been counted worthy. So he realizes he can't get to the woman, so he tries to get to the rest of her seed or the remnant of her seed, verse 17. So if we're counted worthy, that's another thing we don't have to worry about. The dragon won't be able to touch us. He won't be able to get to us. And that was Revelations chapter 12, verses 13 to 17 here. And so let's see what we have left here. Revelations 14, that's right. Yeah, let's go to Revelations 14. This also talks about the 144,000 right here. Revelations 14, verse 4 to 5. These are those who were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are those who follow the Lamb wherever he may go. These were redeemed by Yahusha from men, first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb. So the first fruits are the 144,000. They are first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb, and they were not defiled with women. They were virgins. Now, the reason we believe this is actually spiritual, we're going to get to a moment when we cross-reference to Revelation 17, but let's read this last verse here in verse 5. And no guile was found in their mouth, for they are blameless. Now, that is Revelations 14, verses 4 to 5. So verse 4 is talking about they were not defiled with women. They were virgins spiritually, and they were redeemed by Yahusha from men, first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb. And verse 5 is talking about there was no falsehood or lies coming from their mouth. Now, we're going to show you real quick why this has to be spiritual and can't be physical. I mean, for multiple reasons, it wouldn't make sense to be physical, because the 144,000 is not just men, as far as to my knowledge. Let's see, Revelations chapter 17, verse 1. I believe we're going to go all the way down to verse 4. It says, then one of the 7 angels, Revelation 17, verse 1, then one of the 7 angels having the 7 bowls came and spoke with me, saying, come, and I will show you the right ruling of the great harlot, who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed whoring, and those dwelling on the earth became drunk with the wine of her fornication. Now, right here, this is spiritual. This is not physical. but it's talking about a woman that's a whore that these kings of the earth committed fornication with. Now, we know this ends up to be the Vatican. So this is spiritual right here. So we're going to be cross-referencing this with what we just read from Revelations 14. So with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and those dwelling on the earth became drunk with the wine of her fornication. Again, drunk with the wine of her fornication, that's not literal either. And he led me away in spirit into a desert, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast being filled with names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was clothed in purple and scarlet, girded with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup being filled with the abominations and the filthiness of the fornication of the earth. So again, a lot of this stuff is spiritual metaphoric. The only really literal thing I can take from this is verse 4, where it talks about the arrayed in purple and scarlet and precious stones and a golden cup. That's probably the only physical thing I could take from this prophecy. So most of this, just like Revelations 14, is spiritually talking about committing whoring, fornication with a woman. So
and the main thing is it's called a woman, and it's a great church is what it is.
Yeah, so it's a false belief system that is called a woman spiritually. So yeah. So that's why we're showing you guys this, is that this is a cross-reference you can use to show people it can't be physical in Revelations 14, 4-5. It's actually a lot of times in prophecy, a woman represents a bride or false bride. A lot of the times. Sometimes it can even be referring, a belief system, in modern terms, a false religion in this case. And just like us, it's kind of showing like the harlot as the counterfeit of what the bride is supposed to be, basically. That's the way I kind of interpret it too. Yes. Let's see. I think we also got one more cross-reference here to kind of cap this off here. Revelation.
The point of that is the bride is not caught up in the defilements of that woman. So she's not defiled by false teaching.
The lawlessness, abominations, I think it was mentioned in Revelation 17. So you're talking about everything Yahuwah would abhor. Any of those that are fans of the King James stuff, Yahuwah would abhor or hate. So now we're going to go to the last cross reference. We just have one verse here, Revelation chapter 20, verse 6. And this is kind of like a climax to close the study here. It says, Baraka and set apart, Revelations chapter 20, verse 6. Baraka and set apart is he that has part in the first resurrection. So what we just all said in this study, this is the culmination here. This is the reward, is that you will have part in the first resurrection. That's one of the rewards of the 144,000. You know, when Yahushua says, my reward is with me, this is one of the rewards. He that has part in the first resurrection. Over these, the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Yahuwah and of Messiah, and shall reign with him for 1,000 years. And we know there's another resurrection because it says the first resurrection. So obviously there has to be a second one. And if you keep on reading in Revelations, like the rest of chapter 20 and 21, it will talk about the second resurrection. So Revelations chapter 20, verse 6 is saying that you are Baraka, you are favored if you take part in this first resurrection, if you're counted worthy to take part in this first resurrection. So, and you will actually be reigning with Messiah for 1,000 years. So, and I probably should have included this, and I think I'm going to include this. This is why in Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 to 21, he says, Yahushua says, do not think I came to abolish the law or the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fully proclaim. For surely I say to you, until heaven and earth may pass away, Not one iota or one tittle shall by no means, that means, jot or pen stroke, shall pass away from the Torah until all things are fulfilled. Whoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments and shall teach men thus will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. So Matthew 5:17-20, this is where we get the paradigm of what we just spoke about in this study. So Yahusha himself was warning people, you keep saying you don't have to do this anymore, you don't have to do that, that's done away with. Well, you're going to be least in the kingdom if you do that. So and actually he says if your righteousness does not exceed that of the Pharisees, you won't even make it into the kingdom. So you're taking a huge risk by saying the law is done away with. You're taking a huge, huge risk.
Because it's not.
Because it's not, number one, and number two, you are literally playing Russian roulette with your walk by doing that. You're literally taking a chance where all you have to do is obey the Father, and the Father will give you the free gift of salvation. That's all he asks. Believe in his Son and obey him. It's not that hard, So hopefully this message barakad everyone who was listening, and that the last cross reference I had was Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 and verse 20. So again, all these things we mentioned today, you got the do not deny Yahusha's name. Be careful not to get carried away with the cares of the world and allow it to, get you to be swept away and the seed sown of you to be swept away. And then gluttony was another one. Drunkenness is another one. Those, if we work on those right now, that will get us to the point to where we can really, really work on praying that we would be counted worthy. So we need to be working on those things. So, but one of the most important things is guarding his word and not denying his name. That's probably the two most important things that I could take away. So guarding his word is guarding the commandments, the Torah, endurance, being able to persevere through all the trials that we're going through right now, so that we don't have to go through the temptation that's going to come upon the earth. That's also one of his rewards for the 144,000, the greatest in the kingdom. So,
and we have to be counted worthy.
Yeah, that's why he says pray for it. So hopefully this message barakad you. Thank you for joining us today. So this is Brother Doug signing off with the Awakened by Yahuwah Assembly in Yahusha and Yahuwah Almighty. Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, let me mute people there. Shalom. Have a great rest of your Shabbat.
To Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. We love you very much.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We love you too, Sadie.